Welcome to the Pitting Combination Podcast. I'm KJ Pilcher alongside my colleague Dick Briggs, ready to talk wrestling at the high school and college level. We're in December, so we're right in the thick of things. And of course, on the college side, we'll talk a little bit about Iowa State and UNI out in Vegas, Iowa and the Civil War in St. Charles, Missouri. We'll touch on some D3 action. In rankings going on here in the second week of December, some teams going a little idle, and then we'll touch on the second week of competition in the boys wrestling season and a couple of results on the girls side as well. But first off, Coach, how are things going? I know you had some long days here officiating, but what do you think about the start of the wrestling season here, at least on the boys' side, and things are going?
To start with, the on the college level, I mean, last week was fun because the Cliff Keen is probably the toughest tournament. Certainly before Christmas, maybe all year long before the.
I think it really has stepped into that spot. Is probably the toughest tournament in the regular season.
Right.
I think it's supplanted those tournaments between Christmas and New Year's, just because you've got the Soldier Salute taking some teams. You've had dual tournaments or that duels during the break kind of take some teams. I think this has kind of risen up.
Like you said, you've got the Soldier Salute, you've got the collegiate duels, you've got the Midlands, and you've got the Southern Scuffle, and a lot of teams aren't going to the Midlands and Scuffle anymore, and so it's really either they're not competing in those tournaments or they're spread out. So I think that the Cliff Keen really takes the crown there. And then on the high school side, what a start to the season. Just off the top of my head, I think I have 1 2-time state champ and 3 other state champs that did not win their tournament this weekend. So it was a fun weekend, if I'm thinking right.
That's right. And the interesting thing too, I mean, just at the Cliff Keen, since we're talking about Cliff Keen on the college level in Vegas, Cliff Keen also is involved with the Independence Invitational. There alone, 4 of the finals were 1 versus 2 or 1 versus 3 ranked wrestlers. I mean, that was made for an exciting finals, but just showed these tough tests right out of the gate for a lot of wrestlers.
Right, and I was down at Wapello and had a real good finals match at 126. So it was just a lot of things. We'll get to that later, but.
Yep. Well, speaking of Cliff Keen, let's talk about the Las Vegas tournament. Both Iowa State and UNI are out there competing. UNI, let's just talk about Parker Kyson winning the 184-pound title, 3rd straight championship out there for him. Faced a familiar foe in the finals in Dustin Plott. Won pretty handily, 8-3, even though wasn't the major that many people kind of expect out of him, and that he's had against Plott in the past. But still, the way he's had success against one of those top 3 guys at his weight, it's pretty impressive. And what he's done out there over the last 3 years just really shows how good Kyson is.
Right. And let's not forget that was a national final match.
Yeah, that's right.
National final. So Parker is 4-0 over Dustin in matches in the college career, so there's a familiarity there, like you said. But he pretty much owns Plot. He's and I love talking about him because there's not a more aggressive, fun kid to watch in college. Really, I mean, he's constantly on the move. He's remember the old commercial with the Energizer Bunny? That's
right. That's a good comparison.
he just goes, and so he's fun to watch. And UNI overall though, I think they had a pretty good tournament. A couple of matches they lost, but even the ones that they lost, they came back and beat some ranked wrestlers, and so UNI can't be too disappointed. They had 7 guys that medaled, and so they have a nice base and a very, like we said, difficult tournament. Now Iowa State in comparison, maybe not feeling quite as good with what they did, but they're still trying to lick their wounds and get healthy and all that too. So, so UNI, who was like I think 5 points below Iowa State for 5th and 6th, probably feeling a little better about their performance maybe than Iowa State. Now it's not like UNI is happy and all that, but they did have some nice wins to build on.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned the team fallout. Just run down the top 5, top 6, which includes Northern Iowa, but Oklahoma State, very impressive. Their upper weight lineup is gonna cause a lot of fits for teams. But David Taylor's first year, they win the Cliff Keen with 192 points. Nebraska, a distant second at 115. Ohio State, third with 110.5. Virginia Tech, fourth at 90. Then Iowa State, 89.5. Northern Iowa, 85.5. And I'll just mention Michigan, seventh, more than 10 points back of the Panthers. So good showing for Northern Iowa. I understand where maybe, no champs, just the finalist in Evan Frost. But boy, just really quick, Oklahoma State. I think there's a question: how would this go? Right? Great wrestlers. It's not an automatic that great wrestlers make great coaches, right? Even though you do have, you have the Gables and the Brands and the Sandersons of the world, but it's not a given. And the John Smiths, who David Taylor's replacing, and Taylor coached some club stuff, but he's got a loaded lineup and he's getting production out of them, obviously, and they had a great weekend as well. Okie State did.
Right, and I think we're going to see, like you're alluding to, that Oklahoma State. I mean, if you're a high school kid or maybe a kid from another college, who wouldn't want to go wrestle at Oklahoma State? I mean, man, that's the heart. That's the heart of wrestling country right there, and then wrestle for of all people, David Taylor. I mean, he's a very charismatic, fun guy. I've been around him at camps, and he's he's attractive. It brings we were talking that with Coach Malachek. He's one of those personalities that people want to be around, and
right.
And he's hot off of the competitive mat himself, so he's got a lot to offer. And so, man, we'll watch out for Oklahoma State. They that's a big separation between first and second place.
Right.
90 to 1/3, whatever it was. Jeez. So good showing for the college.
And just to backtrack to Kikaisen, the 184-pound bracket had 11 ranked wrestlers in it, and I think 6 of the top 18, and 3 of the top 5. When you think of Kikaisen at number 2, Plot at number 3, and then Bennett Berge from South Dakota State, who Kikaisen beat in the season opener at the Unidome in that dual win over the Jackrabbits. but a pretty loaded bracket. He also beat number 14 Evan Bachman in the semis 11-1. Just pretty much dominated the field there. But what a great start for Keckeisen. I think out of his wins, he's got 4 against ranked wrestlers. Here, you've got Plott, you've got Berge, Colton Hawks of Missouri. He's beaten. You've got Bachman from Iowa State that he majored. That's a heck of a start there for Keckeisen. Not that we expect anything less, like you said. This is almost kind of commonplace for him over the last few years. But coming off, you just never know. Coming off that national title, you've got an even bigger target on your back. You've got Carter Starochi in the weight class as well. So you just never know what might happen. But boy, this is Parker Keckeisen, and this is what he does.
Yeah,
and
and how can you, like I said, how can you not like it? He's wrestled all of those top wrestlers, including he could have opted out of the All-Star meet, but he doesn't. He goes in, head first right into the wrestling, the 4-time national champion, looking to be the 5-time, first 5-time champ ever. In Carter Starochi, and goes into overtime with him. I'm gonna guess that if they get to the finals, Parker's gonna have an arena full of supporters.
Oh yeah, true.
Starochi, there's some anti-Starochi people out there, for whatever reason. Maybe they feel it's not right to have 5, or he's said some things here or there, who knows what. But Parker's a quiet guy, says nothing, doesn't stir up any drama, and just like I said, just goes. And that's what college wrestling should be about, and with him it is about. So love that guy.
For sure. Also want to mention for you and I, you had Ryder Downey finished second at 157. He beat a couple of ranked wrestlers before falling to Nebraska's Antrell Taylor 4-3. Taylor, I believe, is ranked 7th or right around there, maybe 5th, depending on the rankings. So good showing for Downey at 157. And then, I'm loving Lance Runyon. Gonna keep an eye on him just because, he's had his injuries. He decides to bump up to heavyweight, and here he places at a tough tournament there, getting 7th.
Beat a couple.
So he's kind of proven, he can mix it up with those big guys.
Right, beat a couple of ranked wrestlers, 14th and 16th, at least in the rankings I was looking at, and so yeah, I mean, you can go on and on. Wyatt Volker upset or beat Glacier, who beat him in the duel.
That's right.
That match, and then also beat Carroll from ISU. So this 8th and 14th ranked wrestlers. Sima beat Pinto from Nebraska, and then the number 3 ranked wrestler from South Dakota State. Like I said, the UNI had some good matches. They had some upsets and some wins, so they're feeling all right, I think, coming out of that.
Yep, and also like the fact that Colin Real Buto returned for at 149.
Right.
He placed, and that's good to have him back. He's going to strengthen the lineup as well. So good showing there. And of course, we mentioned Evan Frost for Iowa State. He was a runner-up at 130. Lost to a kid from Cal Poly in the finals by decision, but we'll see more from I think Iowa State here after the break. When they get a little more healthy and kind of get that kind of get their lineup back together as well.
Right. So to complete Iowa State, they had Anthony Ekamandia was fourth at 49. Jacob Frost was fifth at 41. Panero Johnson, who I think has the potential to win it, he was at 157. He's just so explosive, and when he gets it rolling, who knows? And then 184, Evan Bachman was sixth, and 197, Christian Carroll was eighth. So, not a bad showing at all. But I think they're hungry and would expect better than that. So,
here are the overall finals. Just to mention, Matt Ramos from Purdue. He won at 125 with a 7-4 win over Eddie Ventresca. Seth Romney of Cal Poly defeated Evan Frost 7-3 at 133. Jesse Mendez of Ohio State won at 149. Caleb Henson, Antrell Taylor, Peyton Hall of West Virginia at 165. Dean Hamady of Oklahoma State. We mentioned Kaizen at 184. Jacob Cardenas 197, and then Wyatt Hendrickson, heavyweight transfer from Air Force to Oklahoma State, won at 285 and was named outstanding wrestler, I believe, as well. So, what a fun tournament, which really sends a few of the teams into their holiday break.
Right, and it's interesting to hear those champs from Oklahoma State that a lot of transfers. I'm thinking Hamady, what's he doing there?
Yeah. Yeah, from Wisconsin Air Force.
Yeah. That's what college athletics are right now.
Yep. Iowa State has a meet coming up here at Humboldt. Kind of a neat deal. Was about the third or fourth year that they've had a duel at Kevin Dresser's alma mater. Do you like that? You like kind of heading to the grassroots of things for a duel like that?
It's great for the Humboldt crowd and for the Iowa State fans out there in Western Iowa. But I don't know if it's every year is there the way to do it. Kind of, it's like a Field of Dreams. Do you do it every year or do you do it once in a while? And then it's something special. So I think it's cool that they do it, but maybe not every year. I don't know. So they're also in North Dakota State, so they should, I would think, win that.
Yeah, that's a Big 12 duel. There, remind me, what's UNI?
UNI has Nebraska Kearney on Saturday at 7 p.m. Right. So dipping down to a D2, but that's a perennial power. I mean, they're always good. So there'll be some competitive matches there, I would think.
The University of Iowa, they wrestled at the Journeyman Wrestling's Uncivil War, kind of a little dual meet event in St. Charles, Missouri, held at and talking about high schools, held at Francis Howell High School there in St. Charles. Of course, no surprise, really. Iowa comes away with a 39-3 victory over Princeton. And then they defeat Army 23-16. A little bit closer than you might think, but there were some reserves that took the mat there in that second duel for the Hawkeyes. The 2 wins gives Tom Brandt's 300 career victories, which includes his time at Virginia Tech, so not 300 duels at Iowa. But as far as Iowa coaches go, he's just the second one, joining Dan Gable, to reach 300 career duels, even though not all of them are at Iowa. But milestone he apparently doesn't really care too much about, which is understandable. But Iowa just kind of took care of business and had a chance to get some other faces in the lineup down there and still get wins.
Well, I'll speak for Brands in that he may say he doesn't care, and he probably doesn't. I know I was in that, I didn't care much about that sort of thing either. However, when in looking back, I think he should care from this perspective, like I probably should have. It's good for the program. It's not about him 300. It's the program 300. Oh, well,
Sure.
The two programs. But so from that perspective, that's where it's the fans want to hear and see that and support that. So that's a cool thing. As far as Princeton is concerned, I've actually been to Princeton to the national tournament, 1970. I'm going to date myself. 1975 or 6 or something like that. And anyway, a beautiful campus as you would expect an Ivy League campus to be. That's the year when Chuck Yagla and Lee Kemp wrestled in the finals.
Oh yeah.
So that was a neat. We went to a split referees decision.
Wow.
But Princeton, I'm thinking about this and I'm thinking, Princeton, what a tough place to build a program, really in any sport. I mean, the hurdles that you have to overcome. First of all, the price of the school, the academics that it takes to get into Princeton,
Yep.
the fact that they dropped their program a few years ago and then reinstated it. Am I remembering that right? So there's that stigma hanging over you. So that's a tough place to build a program. Not that it can't be done, because look at Cornell.
Right. And I don't believe Ivy League schools. I don't believe they offer athletic scholarships.
That could be, yeah.
I believe that Ivy League schools that. Now I'm sure, just like D3 and other places that don't offer athletic scholarships, I'm sure there's ways to, the other avenues to compensate, or not necessarily compensate, but award grants and funds that way. But yeah, that's just another hurdle that they deal with, I believe.
Right. And now on the Army side, I'm impressed with Army. Wow, they're doing all right. I mean, I don't care if Iowa has their reserves in or not. Army took it to them in a couple of matches there.
Oh, for sure.
Got the wins. Put 15 points or 16 points on the board, but good for Army. And Iowa's hurting a little bit. From Army's perspective, go after it, and they did. So Iowa's got some holes, whether it's because of injury, obviously with team out and some other things, and so they've got some things to resolve. They've got to make some decisions. I'm guessing this month, maybe the Soldier Salute will solidify that. But
sure.
they've got some things they've got to do before they're going to be able to reach Penn State status.
Yep. Speaking of that, at 157, you got a good showing from Miguel Estrada in the Princeton duel. He posted a technical fall. Kale Voinovich, I believe, was actually winning before he gave up a fall in the Army duel. So you saw two possibilities. We thought maybe Caleb Rachi would get another opportunity, but the two young guys coming in, Estrada definitely capitalized on that opportunity. The thing about Teamer from this weekend, and I don't know if you saw the interview that Terry Brands gave, and I'm not sure who. I apologize for the person that conducted the interview. It looked like when Iowa was kind of warming up earlier in the day. But Terry Brands kind of alluded to the fact that even the day after the Iowa State duel, Teamer had gotten a lot better, or things had really improved over the course of a day. So it may not be as serious as originally thought. And also kind of hinted that we'll probably see Teamer here later on in the season. So it's not he's not done. So I think that's got to be great news for Iowa, even though they've got some guys that a young guy like Miguel Estrada that did well filling in.
Right, highly decorated in high school. So that's interesting. I would guess he won't wrestle in the Soldier Salute, but maybe come back in the Big Ten season.
That would be my guess too, possibly.
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe even wait till that late January push where they have like Ohio State, and Penn State kind of later in the month. Maybe just kind of be conservative and wait for them to bring him back. You mentioned the Soldier Salute, some things that might have to be ironed out there. One of the things I think, you do have like 125 with Peterson and Cruz, and then at 41, now that we see Colin Shriver back in the lineup, or not back in the lineup, but in action. Him and Block at 41, but boy, 74 and 84. There still might be some question marks. We saw Brands and Kennedy both wrestle. Both had technical falls. That's a second straight technical fall for Patrick Kennedy. 74 and 84 might be kind of the things to keep an eye on at the Soldier Salute, which is Iowa's next competition, because they may be still trying to figure out. We go Brands Kennedy at 174, Arnold at 84. Arnold go down to 74, and then you have Angelo Ferrari. We saw what he did against Evan Bachman, and that was impressive. So he's got the ability. What do you do there between those four guys and those two weights?
Right, and with such depth, I'm wondering if Ferrari gets redshirted. He can do his 3 or 4 matches or whatever it is,
right,
and then still be all right. But so then you have to prepare someone else for the tournament. At the end of the season, the tournaments. So it's going to be fun if those guys end up wrestling each other at the Soldier Salute. That may answer a couple of our questions anyway.
Right. The Iowa women will be at the Soldier Salute as well. They're coming off a dominant showing at the Jewel Duels at William Jewell in Liberty, Missouri. I believe they went 5-0 there. They handled number 7 Lindenwood 47-7. William Jewell, who's the host, is ranked 25th. They defeated William Jewell twice in duels. One of them was 53-0. The other one was 40-2. They also logged wins over Missouri Baptist 50-8. They beat Fort Hays State 44-1 as well. Macy Kilty and Riesler Mendy each had 4 technical falls to lead the entire tournament. Pretty good showing for Naomi Simon from Decorah. She got to wrestle 3 matches at 180. Of course, sharing time with top-ranked Kylie Welker, the national champ. But Simon 3-0 with 3 falls there. I think it's kind of interesting. The Hawkeyes are now 20-0 all-time in duels. And they went 45-2 overall in matches at the William Jewell duels. And the only losses they had were forfeits. So
here's my thought on college women's wrestling. I would love to hear in the next month and a half, Division I programs that are going to be starting up. I don't know that that'll happen, but right now it's a one horse show.
Right.
You've got the University of Iowa and no one else, and we really need to.
North Central.
Well, I mean,
you're talking about D1.
D1,
The Power 5 schools.
Power 5 type schools.
Okay, Power 5.
So, I mean, let's just talk Big Ten alone. The 18 schools there. Not all of them have even boys wrestle, but nevertheless, it'd be nice to see at least 2 or 3 stepping up and starting to get the ball rolling. Good for Iowa. That's the field that's out there, and they're dominating it. But come on, we need more.
I'm talking kind of off the top of my head, and sometimes it's dangerous because I can misinterpret things or misunderstand things. I swear that Oklahoma State was in the process of trying to establish a women's program to go along with their men's program.
That'd be great.
That would be huge. That would be a huge one as well. I think everybody was under the impression that when Iowa named, when they mentioned they were going to do their women's program, start their women's program, that they had probably talked to some other schools and said, "Hey, if we do this, are you on board?" And kind of got some affirmations, but that hasn't come through yet. So I'm right there with you, hoping we see that more people get on the bandwagon here from the Power 5 schools. Now you've got D1 programs like Sacred Heart and Presbyterian and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely to take that next step, you need the Power 5 schools to jump in. And then I know with the emerging sports status, I think we're going to see multiple divisions on the NCAA side coming, but you definitely need those other programs to step in as well.
Right. And I bet if I asked 10 people off of the street, I'd get 10 people that couldn't tell me where Presbyterian or Sacred Heart. So, I mean, I can't tell you where it's at. So,
I know Presbyterian is in one of the Carolinas.
There you go.
And then Sacred Heart, is that in PA or no? It's out east.
And, it'd be nice to see Iowa State. UNI's in a different boat. Their athletic budget is different. I don't know how. I'd like to see UNI as well, but
yeah,
in our state. So a lot of our smaller schools are picking it up, but not our universities.
I will say one more thing with college results, shifting to D2, Upper Iowa, big win over Minnesota State in Mankato on Sunday, 29-9. Upper Iowa off to a really good start. They're 4-0 overall, which includes a 1-0 mark in the Great Lakes Valley Conference this season. Their second year in that conference after being in the Northern Sun, where they faced Mankato many times, but a big win over that former conference rival as well. As far as D3, do you have any notes from the D3 level?
Right. Well, I'm going to backtrack for one thing on the Upper Iowa. Sure. I think they started, actually 2 things. They started, I don't think they were ranked to start with. I'm thinking they're going to be moving up the rankings here with what they've done so far. And then also their next competition is Saturday and Sunday at the Indianapolis Midwest Classic, which is the equivalent to me of the Cliff Keen Las Vegas Invitational. That's the D2. Just about every school comes to that. That's a really, really competitive tournament. So that'll be fun to watch that. On Division 3 side, sorry, plug your ears here, KJ. Kobe BV 53-0. And they're sitting at 2-0 on the season. Cornell is 4-3, and they've wrestled some tough competition. Some of their losses are like to Augsburg and I think lacrosse. And anyway, they're having a good season. They went to the MSOE Milwaukee School of Engineering.
Yeah.
They were 5th out of 12. They had 9 place winners, and their top place winner was a 25-pounder freshman, Gannon Kuhn, who was 4th. Loris lost to Augsburg 20-15. Good showing there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it was 17-15 going into heavyweight. So it went right down to the last match. Loris is sitting at 2-1. And Loris is one that was, if they were ranked low, and they're going to be moving up as well. Actually, I think they're, I'm not sure, 6th. I think they're ranked 6th. Anyway, Luther, who's ranked 23rd, lost to Wartburg to 37-10. And then University of Dubuque, who's 2-0 right now, put a thumping on Nebraska Wesleyan 35-8. And then, so next up for Co is they're at the North Central Invitational on Saturday. Cornell Russell's Loris tonight at 7 p.m. That'd be a good one to watch. And then remember, you can always watch that for free to their websites. You can link in there. And then Saturday there at they wrestle at UW Stevens Point and Luther. That's Cornell they do. And then like I said, Luther hosts Cornell Stevens Point, and then UD will wrestle University of Wisconsin Platteville on Saturday. So, and then Wartburg's off until their Las Vegas tournament.
Desert Duels.
Desert Duels. Yeah.
Well, use that as a little bit of a transition into the high school portion here. We'll work backwards. Mention Cornell Co. Got to see Brett Ham and Carter Happel at Alburnett on Tuesday. I believe I saw Jimmy Gatto there as well. There's some folks from Central in the crowd at Alburnett for a good duel there. Number 2 Alburnett hosted number 3 Wilton. Nice early season duel. Sometimes you don't see that really just on a Tuesday night, one up duel like that, especially non-conference. But Clayton Rush called Wilton up, said, "Hey, want to do it?" They're like, "No hesitation, let's do it." And we got a pretty good duel out of that as well, which interestingly, this will be a conference duel next year. Alburnett confirmed that it will be moving to the River Valley Conference. Not that they needed to add another wrestling school to the mix, but Alburnett has announced or at least confirmed that they will be moving from the Tri-Rivers to the River Valley Conference there. So they'll be facing likes of Wilton, Anamosa, those teams going forward. But it was Alburnett coming away with a 38-22 victory over number 3 Wilton. One of the big wins came in the very final match at 138, even though the duel was already decided, so didn't have a big impact there. But Cooper Franklin, who was ranked number 6 at 150, down to 138, beat number 2 Gabriel Brisker 5-0, escaping the second period, 4 near fall in the third for a big win there. Tayton Kufal had a nice win at 132. Reese Klosterman and Dawson Becker both with pins. Interestingly, with Becker at 157, he was down. He got thrown to his back right away in the first period before he battled back, tied at 10-10 in the third, and then finished off a fall in 5:29. They gave Alburnett an 18-0 lead after 3 matches, and of course they never trailed. But Alburnett, a really good showing Tuesday in the duel, coming off the win at Independence, where they had 3 finalists and Rowdy Neighbor, I believe Preston Klosterman and Shaden Washburn at Independence, where they won the team title in a really competitive field. So great start for the Pirates and Coach Rush.
Right. So KJ, can you tell me, did Liam Adelfinger wrestle for Wilton in that duel? He did not.
Yes, he did.
He did not wrestle.
He won by fall. He kept Wilton's hopes alive. He won by fall, made it 32-18 with 3 matches left to go. Preceded Mason Shirk's technical fall at 126.
Right. And if you remember, Adelfinger is the wrestler that beat Hayden Schwab in the finals.
Okay.
So
he's up to 120.
Right. Yeah. So I'm not sure why he didn't wrestle last Saturday, but Saturday was at the Wilton was at the Willard Howell Invitational, and they actually took second. Eddiesville, Blacksburg, Fremont won it with 211 points, and Wilton was second with 194, and then Mount Pleasant was third at 155. But Eddiesville had 3 champs, 4 runners up. Wilton had 5 champs and 2 runners up without Liam Adderfinger, and so that probably would have been the difference there. But the other match that stuck out for me at Willard Howell. By the way, I spoke to Willard. He was there, and they honored him. Very good, longtime coach and Hall of Fame coach. So real nice guy. Anyway, Mason Shirk at 126, who was a state runner-up in 1A, beat Gabe Spurgeon from EBF, who was the state champion at 120 in 2A. So there's one of those state champs that didn't win this weekend. Like I said, lots of fun wrestling.
At Independence, I'll just make mention here really quick. Dylan Munson of Cedar Rapids Prairie won the 113-pound title. He beat Rowan Burnt of Burlington Notre Dame 21-5. John Goma of Xavier, he beat Lucas Feuerbach in the finals of at 215. He came away with a 5-3 decision for a title there at Indy. Union Community had 2 champions. Coy Mailer at 106. Boy, he looked tough. 17-2. He's a returning medalist for Union. Jace Hedeman, he was dominant. He ended up being the OW 19-3. You can see the feature I did on him from the tournament at thegazette.com. He's been motivated from last year's loss in the state finals that kept him from being a 4-time champ. Now he's looking to finish off his career with a 3rd title, but kind of had that loss kind of kept him up at night, really bothered him. Then he realized it's an opportunity just to turn around and get better the next day. And he's been looking to be more free and relaxed when he's wrestling, and it certainly has paid off. He rolled through the 132-pound bracket there. One other result that really kind of stands out, or a couple. One, Gavin Landers beat Rowdy Neighbor in the final 3-0 and Sun Victory 1 with a takedown with about 4 seconds left. That's 1 versus 2 in Class 1A. That'll be interesting to see play out. You mentioned Mason Shirk, at Wilton. We didn't get the Neighbor Shirk match because Neighbor was sick, but that'll be fun to watch that weight class in 1A. And then at 120, Braden Bonesack, a 2-time champ for Union, top ranked. Gosh, I only have to spell it correctly. He faced Lyndon Federjanfon from Clarion Goldfield Dows in a rematch from last year's state finals, 113-pound state finals, I believe. But Federjanfon scored a takedown as time expired in the 3rd to win 4-3. And avenge that finals loss to Bonesack. But that'll be another one that I'm sure we'll probably see them cross paths again. But some of the standouts there for Independence in the finals.
Right. So those 2 state champs, Neighbor and Bonesack, that didn't win. So we're up to 3. And then I'd like to also mention John Goma from Xavier was a champ at 197 or what?
215.
215. I'm getting my college and high school weights mixed up here. And anyway, so good job there by John. We got to see him wrestle the other night. Looked very good. Xavier took 13th there at the. How many teams? So 30-some teams there at the Independent. So good job for Xavier. Solon was 12th. They had a runner-up in Lucas Feuerbach. And Lisbon was 14th, and Tiernan Boots was their highest finisher at 3rd.
Let's move down south here really quick. Oh, by the way, Hedeman outscored his opponents in that tournament 53-6.
Wow.
Didn't give up an offensive point. All escaped. So that's one of the reasons why he was named OW. Being C.J. Davis of Burlington Notre Dame, who's ranked number 3 at 138 in the finals. Turning our attention to the Dan Gable Donnybrook really quick before we close things out. Bettendorf crowned 4 champions there. They tallied 366 and a half points to win the team title. Bulldogs had champions in Jake Knight at 120, Tim Keister at 132, Lincoln Jip at 175, and then Braden Keister at 190. Don Bosco was third. They had 3 champions and scored 332 and a half points. They had an All Schwab finals at 113. Hendricks and Hayden Schwab didn't wrestle for the championship, but they finished 1-2 in that bracket. And of course, they're the sons of UNI head coach Doug Schwab. Iowa City West, Alexander Pierce, he finished second at 120. Of course, we mentioned second to Jake Knight, who won that. Justin Avalo, also finalist for West at 150. Linmar's top placers came at the same weight class, actually, 175, where Philip Jacobs was second and Barrett Miras was third. Decora's Thomas Sexton reached the finals at 190. The top area teams. Iowa City High was 12th overall with 186 and a half points. Iowa City West close behind at 14th with 180 and a half, and then Linmar 15th, 176 and a half. On the girls' side, they wrestled Thursday, Friday. Cedar Rapids Prairie's Mackenzie Childers won at 130. Decora's Anastasia Simon. We mentioned Naomi Simon, but her sister Anastasia won at 145. And then Mount Vernon, who we'll get to see tonight against Clear Creek Amana on the boys and girls side. Libby Dix won at 190 pounds, returning state champ, I believe, or at least a state finalist. Decora finished second as a team overall with 287 and a half points, 57 back of Raccoon River Northwest.
The other area high placers, Vinton, Shellsburg, Chloe Sanders was second at 140. Linmar, Katie Siri at 115 was second as well. So here's just a little bit to show you that how difficult this tournament is. So on the boys' side, there's 38 teams that from 6 states, and Iowa finished with 8 of the 14 champions that came from Iowa high schools, and 25 of those 38 schools are out of state schools.
Wow.
So only 13, is that right? 13 are from Iowa. On the girls' side, there's 44 teams from 6 states. 17 of them from out of state, and the girls ended up with 7 of the 14 titles were from Iowa high school. So very, very competitive tournament.
Of course, we've got some big meets this week. We're going to be at Mount Vernon Clear Creek Amana, the double duel tonight. Mount Vernon also hosts its tournament on Saturday. You've got the Council Bluffs Classic going on as well. Anything from this coming week that you want to mention quickly before we sign off here?
I'm going to say this. I know that's out of our area, but this is how tough the Southeast Polk is. They went to Gardner Eddington Invitational down in Kansas, and the number 3 team, 33rd team in the country from Allen, Texas was there. The number 42 ranked team from Liberty was there, and Southeast Polk had 3 champs, 6 runners up, and 3 thirds. So they had 12 guys in the top 3. They're good, Southeast Polk. So anyway, this weekend going to be down a little bit compared to last weekend.
That first weekend's a big one.
Still very good.
And then Keith Young, who came away with a team title at Keith Young?
Let's see. That was Ankeny Centennial.
Okay.
They had 2 champs, 3 runners up. North Scott was second. West Des Moines Dowling was third. Western Dubuque had Macklin Penner. Man, we got to see him wrestle for freshmen. Wow, he's a good looking wrestler for sure. Was a champ for Western Dubuque. Hempstead had Kevin Smith at 215 was their champ. Kennedy was there. They finished ninth. And Anthony Keys at heavyweight was second. Jefferson was there, and they had 2/3. So Dren Zanelli and Anthony Snoddy. So Jefferson's doing a nice job of getting that thing going again. So good job, Coach Mark.
All right. So look forward to for the competition here coming up this weekend. Sure it'll be great as always. Coach, any parting shots before we close out with our regular tribute to our late friend, G. Wyatt Schultz?
No, thanks for watching. Appreciate your attention to us.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week. And go ahead, Coach.
Let's keep wrestling on the move.